No deal yet on the fiscal cliff, but the House did approve some legislation this week. The State Department will now use $1 million in an effort to address Iran's growing presence in Latin America amid increasing concern over Iran's influence in the region. Joining me now is the author of the bill, Republican Congressman from South Carolina, Jeff Duncan. Congressman, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Tell me exactly what the legislation does.
Well, first off, we've got to get serious about the fact that the Iranians or their proxies, Hezbollah primarily, are in this hemisphere. And then this legislation will require the Department of State to come up with some sort of counter strategy, working with our neighbors here in this hemisphere to protect American interests, to posture properly, creating policies to counter that threat. We all know that the Iranians had an assassination attempt that was supposed to happen in this country against the Saudi ambassador that was thwarted by the United States government, but they were going to use Mexican drug cartel operatives to help enter this country through a porous southern border. We've got to address that fact.
Yeah.
Hezbollah just revealed that there's a training camp in Nicaragua. Training for what? The Iranians are here, and we've got to get serious about that.
Is that the main concern? Is it that they're going to cross the border through Mexico, or what are the specific concerns that we think that they're down there doing?
Well, we've got interest all over this hemisphere, working with our neighbors who have interest as well. We need to understand what they're doing. That's part of the strategy. Let's find out why they're here, what they're up to. Are they placing operatives in embassies and consulates and charity organizations in order to launch some sort of attack against America? Should we strike or our allies strike against their nuclear program?
Yeah.
We need to realize that they're here. This is a real threat, and come up with a strategy working with our allies here to counter that.
I don't know if you would specifically give the State Department $1 million to work on this, though. This sounds like something that is a very credible threat, but it's something that, you know, the CIA would be working on all the time.
Well, we hope they are, and let me just reiterate, we're not giving the State Department $1 million. They're allocating $1 million from their existing budget.
Okay.
So we're just requiring them to spend existing dollars. There's no new dollars spent here.
So, but why would you give them this specific assignment? I mean, it seems like we would have the intelligence agency, that there would be a lot of people already, you know, Homeland Security. This is a huge problem. There would already be agencies looking at this.
Well, and I hope they are, but the Department of State has to work with our allies in Latin America and South America to come up with a strategy. We can't go it alone. We've got to work with those countries. They've got to recognize the threat. They've got to tell us about who's there, what they're there for. And then we've got to focus on our border. These are energy issues with pipelines. These are folks that are coming across our southern border, possibly strengthening that, working with all the agencies. And the Department of State needs a lead on this. This is their area.
All right. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, Melissa, thank you very much.